60s, Broadway Joe broke the mold and let it flow.
Look at that shot.
Howie Long ushered in the era of the box and flat top. And then came the mullet, most notably rocked by Jim McMahon and recently Jared Allen. Of course there's the Boz, who is one of one, combining both the mullet and the mohawk. We can't forget the Jerry curls from two of the best backs to ever do it, and the biggest personality of the 90s.
This is my house.
Fast forward to the early 2000s and the best afro to ever grace the gridiron.
Straight cash, homie.
Moving along to the most iconic, Troy Polamalu, enough said. And now to today and this man, Trevor Lawerence. I mean, look at these luscious locks. A flow worthy of a runway and a game that is backing it up.
Fitz doing voiceovers with luscious locks and it is amazing. Look at that. As someone who has fake hair, I'm very jealous of his real hair. Also, how dope is Brian Bosworth? I used to have Land of Boz, that poster on my wall. Good stuff right there. You know what else is great? Taylor Rooks. And she sat down with Trevor Lawerence yesterday. Hi, Taylor.
Hey, Carissa. Well, you know, it might annoy you even more to know that Trevor Lawerence says he doesn't even do anything to the hair. He just wakes up and it looks like that. But remember all of the hype that surrounded Trevor Lawerence ahead of the 2021 draft? Well, the Clemson quarterback was the golden boy, full of the potential to be great. Highest ranked recruit since Eli Manning and a national champion as a freshman. But last season, we didn't get to see the productivity and results that were so highly anticipated. But now, Trevor Lawerence has arrived. Surrounded by numerous offensive weapons and a culture-changing coach, he's had 1,680 passing yards and thrown for 14 touchdowns in his last 6 games. The Jaguars are back on track, and he's proving to himself that he is everything that we all said he could become. Welcome into the winter wonderland, Trevor.
Cookies and everything.
Oh, we have it all.
Yeah.
Wait, what's your favorite Christmas movie?
Christmas Vacation.
That's
my favorite.
okay.
What about you?
I think I really like Home Alone.
Home Alone's up there too. Home Alone's good.
We have to begin by saying the rumors are true. The hair is pretty good. It's
I
pretty
feel like
good.
everybody says it the first time they meet me, but
Yeah,
thank you, I appreciate it.
Are you kidding me? He's going to be caught for the touchdown.
But what a year it has been for you so far. You just beat the best defense in the league in the Dallas Cowboys. What statement do you feel like the Jaguars made?
I just feel like we've proven, what we're capable of.
Touchdown catch from Trevor Lawerence.
I feel like every week we've just gotten better and better. And I think we're really clicking. The chemistry is great. Just the energy. We all know what we're playing for. Everybody's excited to be a part of what we're doing.
What are you all capable of?
I mean, I just think that we've proven that we can beat anybody, whether it's a tight game, whether we're coming from behind, whatever it is, whatever the obstacle is. We've shown that we can overcome it.
With the first pick, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Trevor Lawerence.
You and Zach Wilson were the first 2 picks of the 2021 draft, and you recently talked about how you don't think it's fair the way that you all are compared, that that's not the way we should talk about the game. How do you want people to discuss the relationship between you and Zach Wilson?
You always keep track of the guys that you went through the NFL draft process with, and just all the training and all that. We actually trained in the same place in California. He's a guy I root for. Obviously this year's been a little bit crazy for him, but I know what it's like to be going through, not that exactly, but just a rough year, and so I'm rooting for him.
It's been really fascinating for me to watch you grow in this league. How do you think being the #1 overall pick affected the expectations that the fans and the franchise have of you?
I mean, there's a lot that's expected. It's kind of like, to whom much is given, much is required. Obviously last year was a crazy year. It was a tough year for me personally. And just to be able to learn a lot about myself and who I am, outside of football, but also just when things aren't going great, I have that confidence now that I've gone through a really, really rough year on the field, and I know I'm going to come through it the same.
How has Doug Peterson came in and changed the culture in Jacksonville?
He's just revived our locker room, gave us a bunch of energy. He's never changed. He's never panicked. He's never tried to change what we do just because we're losing. And that's why I talk about trust in your process, and that's really comes directly from him. When you're talking about a leader, especially the head coach, you want someone where you know what to expect every day. He's always going to be the same. He's always going to be Coach Peterson.
Trevor fires right corner of the end zone, caught for the touchdown.
Let's go.
You recently said there's a bit more of a chip on your shoulder now because you know, like what everyone has said about you, that you've kept track. I love that because it has to feel good to see critics kind of change their mind about you now. What has that been like?
Well, I think it's a perfect example of just, like I was saying, you know, I didn't listen to the people when they were saying all this bad stuff about me, and then now the same people are saying totally different things. So it's just kind of cool being able to see and just prove that to myself that I don't need to listen to any of that, whether it's good or bad, because you see the same people change their mind and say completely different things.
Well, did we get you in the holiday spirit?
This is awesome. Yeah, I mean, we're already in New York, so.
Thank you so much for your time and good luck tonight.
Awesome. Thank you, Taylor.
So there's been a transformation in numbers, production, and wins. So Whit, how do you explain what you're seeing from Lawerence right now?
I think to me it really comes down to, you know, this conversation we just had about Zach Wilson, owning that moment. You go back to that Denver game, he talked about he never wanted to feel like that again, and most importantly, he didn't want his team to feel like that again. He had let them down, he felt, at the end of that game, and he was going to put his foot in the ground and make a change. And I think even he must have had a microphone in some of our meetings, because I think we were right there with everyone else saying we didn't know if we saw enough to think that he's made a difference in his second year. But wow, has he changed the narrative in the last 6 games. It's been really special to see how he's played.
Yeah, and they, you know, before the bye week, they had 4 games that he had an opportunity in the 2-minute drill to go down and either win or tie the game, and it didn't happen. But then after that bye week, when they got to Baltimore, this game right here, you talk about gotta have it plays. Here we are in 4th and 8. If he doesn't get it, game over. Dime to Zay Jones. Look how much time is on the clock here. 36 seconds left. And what happens? Again, gotta have it play. He puts it the only place he can put it. Dime. Next play, what happens? Less than 20 seconds left.
Veteran.
Dime. Marvin Jones. And then guess what? Hey, coach, I want to go for 2 and win this football game for us. Okay, throw a quick out on the goal line, a play I am definitely afraid of.
Your favorite.
Dime. And then this here, again, the progression of him and guys starting to believe in him at the end of the Dallas game. He makes the throw to put him in position to kick the field goal, to tie the game, and then to have it won in overtime. He's starting to win over his teammates with some of these moments. They believe in who he is, and they're starting to believe in him in those moments.
Yeah, and you know, you see that confidence starting to stack up. I looked at him. I've always loved his game from the get-go. Obviously, it just takes time to become that guy. But he's a Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Josh Allen. That's where his name's going to be mentioned with those guys over these next 3-4 years as this window starts to open up for this team. But they took care of him too. The front office, like you said, those guys on there: Christian Kirk, Marvin Jones Jr., Zay Jones. I think Etienne at the running back, getting the running game going for him. Evan Ingram, the tight end. They're taking care of him with the skill players, and it's all those guys growing together, trusting each other. This offense is lights out right now.
And he's also taking care of the football. This is a guy that led the league last year in interceptions. Over the last 9 games, he's only had 2. He's had 14 touchdowns to 1 interception over the last 6 games. So we talk about playing with confidence, but also doing his job and not turning the ball over. So they will be without their left tackle today in Cam Robinson, so it's a big loss for them. Sherm, what are you seeing from this Jaguars offensive side of the ball before we turn to defense?
Well, they got big-time playmakers. I mean, a lot was made when they brought Christian Kirk over and paid him a lot of money. He's probably 40 yards away from his first 1,000-yard season, the best season of his career. Evan Ingram has came over, having probably the second-best year of his career since he was a rookie, on his way to maybe 800 yards, but he looks comfortable. You see guys just playing well. Zay Jones, you saw him all over that tape. When in crucial situations, it was big. He made big-time plays, and I think on this defense, they've struggled a little bit. But in this run they've had, the last 5 games where they've won 4, they've made big plays when they needed them. Last week was a prime example. They gave up a few points. Dallas Cowboys, a good team. But when they had to have it, interception to win the game and seal it, and I think that's indicative of what they can do.
No Trayvon Walker tonight for them, so a loss there. This is a rebuilt team, you guys. 17 of the 22 starters on this Jags team were drafted or signed as drafted or unrestricted free agents since the 2021 free agency deadline. So in the offseason, they were also very active, as you just outlined, Tony, with all the signings. So let's get more on that with Michael Smith. Michael?
Guys, just to put a bow on this conversation about this Jaguars transformation, think about this. In January, you had fans showing up to TIAA Bank Field in Jacksonville in clown costumes. Talk about turning a frown upside down. You had people complaining about owner Shad Khan keeping general manager Trent Baalke in place. Baalke was seen as an impediment to hiring a quality head coach. Then they go out in free agency and they spend over $250 million, most money ever spent in one offseason in NFL history. And usually when you spend big in the offseason, it does not pay off. Oftentimes it backfires. But the Jaguars nailed this free agent class, as you see there. And in talking to Doug Peterson just a few minutes ago, he said not only did they want good players and a fusion of talent at position of D, but they wanted good people. And one of the reasons why this offense's passing game is clicking right now is despite those guys getting paid, they're practicing full speed this late in the year. And lastly, I talked to receivers coach Chris Jackson, and he said they are unselfish group, no real alpha dog, so nobody cares who gets the numbers. 4 guys that had 100 yards receiving this year. Oh, by the way, they traded for Calvin Ridley at the trade deadline, so they'll get even better.
Thank you, Michael. Appreciate it. All right, let's get a little pregame prep. Brought to us by Little Caesars. So Foye leads the league in tackles. Fitz, you know where he went to college. Can you say something nice about him?
Fellow Ivy Leaguer, we'll just say that. But he's played every defensive snap for him this year. He is a tackling machine. He's done a great job being picked up by the Atlanta Falcons after that offseason.
So, Whit, at the time, there was a lot of talk that Jacksonville overpaid for Christian Kirk. How does that deal look now?
He's found a home in that slot position. He's already his career high 7 touchdowns. He only needs 17 more yards to set his career high in receiving yards.
And Zonovan Knight stepped in at running back when Breece Hall went down. Sherm, what are you looking to see from him tonight?
I mean, explosive plays. He's a hard runner. I mean, you hear Salah talk about him. He's just a hungry backyard dog. He runs violently. He looks for contact. Those are the kind of backs that are hard to deal with in this kind of weather.
And then Tony C.J. Mosley was named to his 5th Pro Bowl yesterday. Robert Saleh says he's right there with Bobby Wagner and Fred Warner. Huge praise in terms of the best linebackers. What makes him special?
Oh, that's huge. I tell you what, this guy is a shifty guy. He makes great plays. He's the quarterback of that defense. You see him right there, getting his troops fired up. He's the leader. Quentin Williams said, without CJ, nobody would know what to do. 130 tackles leading this team. Great player for them.
And we got a great game here, folks, with playoff implication. It's a cold one. It's wet and rainy. It's football weather. MetLife Stadium. It's going to be a good one. Stay with us. More after the break.